I draw live caricatures at parties all over Florida, but in this video I'm going to draw from this photo and explain my live caricature drawing method. Then I'm going to put this drawing into Procreate and take it to the next level and add some color. Okay, for this next one, I'm looking at the basic shapes. I'm seeing a definite rectangle shape in the face. And the hair shape is a separate shape that goes around it. The eyes are high up on this rectangle shape. So that's all the sketch I'm going to do. Let's just dive into it. Okay. Start off with the eyes. Alright, this right eye, I'm just starting off with the corner of it. Her eye is going to be stretched upward. That is a little bit of a challenge to draw. Add some eyelashes. It's the underlid is being pulled up. This is Jamie Lee Curtis from one of her latest movies, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and she played this really cool character, this IRS agent that was a little bit crazy and very cranky. I just had to see if I could draw it. Now right here I'm looking at this negative space underneath the eyebrow. This space right here, I'll use that a lot to help find where the eyebrows are on the head. And she's popping her eyebrow up here, so it's causing a wrinkle on her forehead. Now we've got the bridge of the nose. I just add that on there so I don't draw the eye in the wrong place. And the eye on this side is being pulled up too. Eyelid. She doesn't have much eyelashes, but I'm just adding very short ones. Okay, and you follow the bridge of the nose to find out where the other eyebrow starts. Then it arcs up in a slightly different way. Whereas this one arcs up in an arch that is in this direction. This one is the opposite direction. And then it comes back down. So that's another thing I look for, is the differences. Both of these eyebrows are popped up, but this one is definitely a different shape than this one. Now she's got these cool glasses and they are red. So sometimes when people have see-through frames in their glasses or it's a different color, then I will use this method. If I'm drawing somebody live, I mean, I'm drawing in the studio now, but if I'm drawing somebody live, usually I just draw the frames, just use black ink to ink in the frames in the glasses. But if it's a color, sometimes I do this. Here we go. So first I draw the bridge of the glasses, the right side, the left side. These are kind of skinny glasses, so we'll keep them narrow. And then what I'll do is I'll draw the inside. It's not a perfect way to do it, but it kind of gives the illusion that it's that the frames are sort of translucent. Okay, now the bridge of the nose. This is like a dimension line for where the top plane of the nose turns to the side of the nose. She's got sort of a big nostril. Nostril on the other side is kind of shorter because of the perspective. Now this is probably something I can exaggerate. The mouth is usually pretty close to the nose, but in this case it's pulled way down. So I mean, if I wanted to really exaggerate it, I could pull it like way down to here. It'd be a real funny picture, but we're just going to exaggerate it a little bit. And the mouth is close to the chin. I'm just going to start off with that little divot. Get the bottom lip on there. I'm just trying to draw what I see. Stylize it a little bit. Drawing some shadow around the shape of the teeth inside the mouth. Okay, that's it from let's see. That's it for my small marker for now. I may get that back out in a second, but let's draw the outside of her chin and jaw. Now when I draw the outside, I can just skip around the frames. Alright, now we're just getting our hairline on there. I'm just kind of drawing what I see right now and just kind of going with the flow. Her hair is very boxy, like her face kind of is rectangular, and then her hair is a definite, it's more rounded, but still like a boxy looking shape. So let's get some good lines on there. She's got this turtleneck sweater on there, so let's try to suggest that. Got the beaded necklace, can't forget that, of course. Okay. Now we're just going to draw some small lines in the hair to sort of show the flow of hair. I may try to pull this into Procreate and go over it and color it in and see if I can take it to another level. Okay, here I have pulled the drawing into Procreate. I've lowered the opacity and I'm sketching right over top of my drawing. I notice that the eyebrow on the right is a high arch, so I'm drawing it as an even higher arch. The eyebrow on the left is sort of like a check mark that's a little lower, so I'm making it a lower, more extreme check mark. I'm looking for any type of way that I can exaggerate what I've already drawn. The space between the nose and the top of the mouth seems long to me, so I am going to stretch it out even longer than my initial drawing. The face shape is a rectangle, so I'm in this second drawing stretching it to an even more extreme rectangle. Here I'm sketching in the glasses. They seem a little low on her nose, and so I'm making them a little lower, and the frames seem a little narrow, so I'm making them a little narrower. Once I get the hair and the other little details in, then I'm going to lower the opacity of this sketch and go to a layer above it and start drawing in my black lines. And as I do this, I'm looking for opportunities to make thick and thin lines and a smooth transition between the thick and thin lines. I might draw a line that starts off thin, becomes thick, and then thin again. I'm drawing over my sketch, and I'm still looking for ways to improve it. I like really sharp shapes, or well-defined shapes, and smooth lines. So that's what I'm trying to achieve as I draw over the sketch, but I am still looking for little ways to improve it. I am drawing this in Procreate, and that is my absolute favorite drawing program. It's only for Apple products, but please let me know in the comments if you use Procreate, or maybe you might use a different drawing program. I have some friends that really like Clip Studio, but Procreate for me, it just works. For some reason, I am reminded of a funny story that happened while I was drawing digitally. I was drawing live digital caricatures at a resort in West Palm Beach. And I was drawing these three kids. They were sitting together to be drawn as a group. So it was a big party, and there were kids running around, and they were feeding them, and all kinds of stuff was going on. So I drew the kid on the right, I drew the kid in the middle, then I started drawing the little girl on the far left side, and suddenly she made a funny face. She leaned forward and projectile vomited bright red puke on the ground in front of me. It just came inches away from splattering my shoes and pants. And everybody started freaking out, and it was kind of funny that the girl just sat back in position like nothing had happened, and she was just patiently waiting to be drawn. And not only that, but the puke was bright red. But everybody was freaking out, and they quickly figured out that the girl had just been eating a huge red snow cone and then running around and jumping in a bouncy house. So, I guess the moral of the story is, when drawing kids live, make them sit at least 4 feet away from you, because that seems to be the standard projectile puking distance. Okay, back to my drawing. Okay, now I am coloring it in. And I'm just doing the outline of the flat colors and then filling it in. I learned this color method from an artist I found on Instagram. I think his name is Zing. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's spelled Xiding. And he had a few tutorials that I watched. And he puts tutorials sometimes on Instagram. But the method is to put in the flat colors first. I'm just filling in all of the areas with basic flat color. Skin tone, teeth, lips. I'm going to put some colors in the hair and the shirt, the sweater. On a layer above the flat color, I am adding some yellow to the skin tone, because parts of the face have more of a yellowish tint to it. And I'm also adding a blush red to the skin tone. I'm not trying to put in the shadows. I'm just trying to put a variation of different skin tones on different parts of the face. And here I am finishing the flat colors on the hair and the shirt and the rest of it. Procreate has this neat trick where if you create a circle or a shape, then you can drag and drop color inside that shape and it will fill in itself, and that kind of speeds up the process. Okay, here I'm just speeding it up a little bit to get past some of the boring parts. I'm not sure if you'll be interested in watching me color in the necklace and everything, but then I'm going to keep explaining my color process as I go. Okay, the next step in the color process is I go to a layer above what I've already done, and I set it to multiply, and I begin drawing in the shadows. At first I'm just drawing in all the basic shapes of the shadows, just doing a once over, and then I'm going to take a smudge tool and kind of go over the edges of those shadows to smooth them out. And basically I'm just looking at the photo. Where I see a shadow on the photo, that's where I'm putting it on the drawing. And there's going to be one more step after this step. Okay, and then the final step of the coloring process is the highlights. I go to a layer even above everything I've done before. I set that layer to screen or to add. And then I begin putting in the highlights. And again, I'm just looking at the photo, and where I see a highlight on the photo, that's where I'm adding it on the drawing. And I'm always looking for opportunities to make it more stylized. And then I'm going to go over those highlights with a smudge tool Some highlights need to be more harsh, others need to be a little bit more smooth, and I'm just working my way through it. Okay, so that's it. So let me know in the comments, please, if you like this type of video, especially adding the Procreate coloring process.